Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So you can start.
So here I'll be presenting a short case regarding a 22-year-old male who presented with the chief complaints of swaying while walking since 4 to 5 days and difficulty in speech since 4 to 5 days.
Okay, we'll go by slide discussion. Now, these are your headlines. So I always say from the headlines, what information you can gather. You see, when you read a newspaper, you see the headlines and you can understand what is going on behind that largely. So
Yes, sir.
with these two sentences, what do you think we are dealing with?
Sir, swaying while walking and dysarthria and also difficulty in balance, sir. So a cerebellar dysfunction, sir.
Okay, so the patient was intelligent enough to say the word swaying while walking. Swaying while
Yes,
walking means the patient has imbalance, gait
yes.
imbalance, or medical term is ataxia. So, what are the types of ataxia you know of?
Sir, cerebellar ataxia, sensory ataxia, sir, and any dysfunction of the frontal lobe can also cause ataxia, sir.
Frontal lobe doesn't cause ataxia. There are only three types of ataxia: cerebellar, sensory, and vestibular. If you have attended my talk on gait ataxia, you can go back and see the slides in the YouTube also. There are
Yes, sir.
once the patient says imbalance, then we know that it is either cerebellar or sensory or vestibular. So in this patient, all the three are possible: vestibular, cerebellar, or sensory. But why did you
Yes, sir.
choose cerebellar?
Cerebellar because there is also difficulty in speech since 4 to 5 days, sir. That
Very
cannot be caused by vestibular or sensory ataxia.
excellent. So the moment the person has speech involvement, it automatically means cerebellar. As long as the gait ataxia alone is there, it can be vestibular, it can be sensory, and it can be cerebellar. And at that time, we need to know who is your friend. Then from the
Yes, sir.
friend, we find out what is the type of ataxia. Suppose it is a vestibular ataxia, what would be the friend like? What are the associate symptoms?
The patient would present with giddiness on looking to a particular, on turning the head to a particular position, or he would also complain of ringing of ears and
No, no,
maybe.
no. You are going to the diagnosis. But the key points in vestibular ataxia is a true vertigo. It can be positional vertigo, it can be Meniere's disease, it can be vestibular neuronitis, whatever it is. The important point is a true vertigo, as though the whole thing is spinning. And when there
Yes,
is a spinning, there usually will be vomiting. So, true vertigo, vomiting, and then having ataxia, that is a vestibular ataxia. But we'll see later on where it has to be localized. So, in this patient, there is no such history. Now, who is the
no,
friend in sensory ataxia?
sensory.
Because suppose the patient has come only for this, you need to ask questions. Who are the friends of sensory ataxia? What are the associate symptoms if it is a sensory neuropathy?
Symptoms the patient would have difficulty in walking in the dark, and he would have wash basin sign, sir.
Okay, so the patient may have other features of sensory neuropathy like tingling, numbness, paresthesia, and inability to walk more steadily in dark, wash basin phenomena, etc. So once you have sensory symptoms and ataxia, it becomes sensory ataxia. Once you have
Okay.
vestibular symptoms and ataxia, it is vestibular ataxia. As you very rightly pointed out, as long as the problem is in the lower limbs, it can be any of the three. Once lower limb and upper limb is involved, then the vestibular is out of question. Either it is sensory or cerebellar. But once the speech is involved, there is no other differential diagnosis. It is a cerebellar. Okay, proceed.
Coming to the history of presenting illness, the patient was apparently normal 5 days back. when he noticed swaying and difficulty in walking without support, which was acute in onset. The patient noticed it when he was going to the bathroom and had a fall due to the swaying. There was no history of loss of consciousness prior to the fall.
One
No
minute.
history of
1 minute. Whenever there is an acute history, please give a descriptive information. Previous night, he was all right. He went to bed at this time. He woke up at 2 a.m. to go to bathroom. He was all right. When he woke up at 6 a.m., as he was getting out of the bed, he had imbalance. Now, this gives a immense information. Just saying that acute onset really doesn't mean anything to me. Or it may be that he woke up, he went to bathroom, he brushed his teeth, he came back. Again, he wanted to go to bathroom for a bath. At that time, he had a swaying. So I want to know exactly the time when this swaying started and exactly the time when he was totally normal. Because it makes a lot of difference. Abrupt onset is different, acute onset is different. So can you explain a little more?
Yes, sir. Around 5 days before the presentation, when he woke up that day morning and he wanted to go to the kitchen for some reason, he had swaying, sir. He had swaying. After that, he went back to bed and slept. Then in the afternoon, when he got up and he wanted to go to the bathroom to take a bath and freshen up, then he had a fall due to the swaying. After which the attenders brought him to the hospital, sir.
Okay, the previous night, was he all right?
Previous night he was completely all right, sir.
What time did he go to bed? Did you inquire?
Not exactly, sir.
It's very important. Suppose he had a large dose of ethanol, alcohol, binge.
Yes, sir.
So morning he woke up with ataxia. So you know the diagnosis.
Yes,
So it is extremely important whenever there is an acute onset, you should go backwards a few hours before and then forwards exactly like a story you have to tell. As you said rightly, now he woke up, he went to kitchen. Why did he sleep till afternoon?
because of the swaying, he felt giddy, sir. He felt.
What is he doing? What is he working as?
Sir, he does not work, sir. He just he's unemployed. He just stays at home. He does not do any work, sir.
But when he went back to the bed, was he conscious, awake,
He was, yes, sir. He
awake,
was
and he
conscious.
didn't want to go, or he slept off?
He slept off, sir. That is what history. He
So
gave.
we don't know. So you must have asked in the previous night history, because that is extremely important to know whenever there is something acute onset. Just before that, when was it completely normal is extremely important. Okay, proceed.
The patient gives no history of weakness of the limbs or any giddiness or ringing sensation in the ears or any ear discharge or fullness in the ear. There is no history suggestive of any stiffness of the limbs, no history of tingling sensation or any paresthesias of the limbs, no history of bowel and bladder incontinence, no history of any postural giddiness or vertigo on turning head to any particular position.
The most important, you have not told about fever. See, whenever there is an acute cerebellar syndrome, whether he had history of fever, he woke up in the morning, he was febrile, or previous night he had a fever, and he woke up in the morning, ataxia, then it becomes an infective disorder. So I think important point which you missed was about the fever and the previous night alcohol. Two things are very, very important. And sometimes a patient may have so-called imbalance because of hypokalemia. So the patients who wake up in the morning with imbalance, what the patient may say, it may be actually motor weakness. But in your case, it is not motor weakness because the patient had dysarthria. So I think only you have made a good history here, except for the 2 points, the acute onset, the previous night, ethanol is important, and the fever is important. Okay,
Yes.
next.
The patient also complains of disturbance in speech. He says he had slurring of speech, sir. The morning when he developed the swaying, he says he has slurring of speech. Other than that, he's not able to describe what it was like. Other than that, there is no history suggestive of dysphagia, sir. He is able to comprehend what I'm asking and he's able to answer it appropriately.
Very
So
good.
there is no history suggestive of dysphasias. There is no history of difficulty in swallowing. There is no history suggestive of any other cranial nerve dysfunction, sir.
But suppose this patient had, in addition to ataxia and dysarthria, suppose he says he had difficulty in swallowing. What does that information mean?
Sir, difficulty in swallowing, the brainstem is also involved, sir.
Correct. So it is not pure cerebellar syndrome. Swallowing is nothing to do with cerebellar dysfunction. So
Yes, sir.
if there is a difficulty in swallowing, that means the cerebellar dysfunction is due to its connections in the brainstem.
Yes, sir.
So what is the condition where you can get an acute onset of cerebellar dysfunction with dysphagia localizing to brainstem?
Strokes, vascular.
Well, it can be a stroke, very correct. Or the second possibility is a demyelinating lesion, multiple sclerosis.
Yes.
If he's an elderly man, hypertensive, diabetic, or even otherwise, such an acute onset ataxia and dysarthria and dysphagia, the localization goes to brainstem plus minus cerebellar hemispheres. So the diagnosis would be anything that is acute is a VBA, vertebrobasilar insufficiency. If
Yes,
that is
sir.
not a feasible diagnosis, the second one close to that will be a demyelination, as you see in multiple sclerosis. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
that is a very important point which you have asked. Okay, next.
Coming to the past history, the patient is a known case of seizure disorder since childhood on tablet phenytoin 300 mg BD since the last 10 years. The last seizure was 3 months back, which lasted for 3 to 5 minutes with tonic-clonic movements of both upper and lower limbs associated with tongue bite and uprolling of eyes. He is not a known case of diabetes or hypertension, sir.
Now, this is something difficult for me to believe that he is on 300 mg twice a day for the last 10 years.
Yes, sir.
It's something very, very difficult to trust. So what you have to do is check what company is this phenytoin. You know, nowadays we have government of India having some Aushadha, Ayushadha and all that, where they are supplying with a good intention a low cost medicines. And the low cost medicines are manufactured by flyby operators somewhere in the backyard and all that. And those may not contain any medicine. Time and again I have seen patient seizure is not controlled. I check what tablet from where. If it is not a standard company, I just tell them to change the company and their seizures are well controlled. So the first thing we have to see, these are all practical products. This is not for your MD examination. First thing you check, bring the tablets. I want to say whether it is really 300 mg or 100 mg. Next thing is the company. And third thing is whether he is really taking all these days or he's just bluffing, he's taking.
Yes.
So the fourth important thing is all patients complain when it comes to the neck. Until then, they'll say they are perfectly all right. So you will have to find out whether it is an acute or chronic cerebellar ataxia due to phenytoin. So how was he walking a day before, a week before, a month before? No, he was walking independently. I said, I know he was walking independently. The day he became dependent on you, you have brought him to the hospital. But let us say 3 months ago how he was walking and 1 week ago how he was walking. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಏನೋ ಕುಡಿದವ್ರು ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಡೀತಿದ್ರು ಸರ್, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವರೇ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದ್ದ. You see, the history taking is very important. So when you come across this sort of a sentence, you have to go back and see. They will say everything is perfect, perfect. When you start digging in, then say some problem was there, but he was all right. Every patient is brought to the hospital when they become a nuisance in the house. So please remember, in the clinical history taking, whenever they say acute, you really have to know whether it is acute or chronic or really acute. Okay, so those are the two things you have to check for. And the third thing which comes to the mind with this phenytoin is whether he has tried to commit suicide by taking large number of drugs. Many of our, not I won't say many, a few of our patients on anti-epileptic drugs, whenever there is a fight at home, whenever they are depressed, they just gulp the number of tablets.
Okay.
So 3 things on phenytoin. 1, bring the tablet, see whether it is really 300. 2, manufacturer. And 3, whether it was acute or chronic. And 4, whether he has taken a large quantity. Ask them to go back and bring that bottle which contains 100 tablet and see when was it bought and how many are left. If few tablets are there or on the bed or down. So these are all the points which one has to ask for to make a proper diagnosis of phenytoin induced cerebellar ataxia, because that seems to be very striking now. Okay.
Coming to the summary of the history, the 22-year-old
Right.
male, no.
Okay, so your first diagnosis is acute cerebellar ataxia and dysarthria due to what?
Due to
Obviously, the
probably,
first diagnosis should be phenytoin induced, right?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But usually the anti-epileptic drugs, when it goes to that level of ataxia and dysarthria, they also have diplopia. In fact, diplopia is one of the early symptoms of toxicity. So that is another question you need to ask, whether the patient had diplopia recently. Suppose they say he was having diplopia for the last 1 month. That means his toxicity has started 1 month ago and now it is an acute. Maybe he has
Yes,
taken
sir.
more number of tablets. Okay, next slide.
Coming to the general physical examination, young male, conscious, cooperative, oriented to person, but not to time and place, sir. The vitals are normal. There is no postural drop of blood pressure. No neurocutaneous or neuroskeletal markers are present, sir.
Okay.
Coming to central nervous system examination, he's a right.
Use the word coming to. Every Wednesday I tell them in the class, don't use the word coming to. Just say, next slide, right-handed, conscious, cooperative.
Yeah.
Somehow it has come like patients with seizures. People put a key in the hand. It has come from generations. It looks this coming to also as coming down from generation. I am not sure. Okay.
Sorry, sir. He's a right-handed person, conscious, cooperative. The short-term and long-term memory are intact. MMSE is 15/30, sir. Because of the calculation and the orientation to time and place, it's not present. The speech is slow and slurred, sir. It is not a typical scanning type of a speech. Reading and writing could not be assessed as the patient is illiterate.
Okay.
Cranial nerve examination. Third, fourth, and sixth cranial nerve examination shows horizontal nystagmus with fast component to the left side, sir. All other cranial nerves are normal, sir.
Is it a gaze evoked nystagmus? That means wherever
No, sir,
to the left
not the
also
gaze.
there is nystagmus, to the right also there is nystagmus, or only one side?
Only one side, sir.
Only left side.
Yes, sir.
Usually the drug-induced nystagmus is a gaze evoked nystagmus. That means whichever side the eye moves, there nystagmus will be there. So it is not that unilateral, it is bilateral nystagmus.
Yes, sir.
Next.
All other cranial nerves are normal, sir. Motor system examination. The bulk of the muscle, there is no gross atrophy.
All are normal. What are
All
the
are normal.
positive ones is this?
The tone, there is bilateral hypotonia in both upper and lower limbs, sir. Power is normal. Superficial reflexes are present. Muscle stretch reflexes are brisk, sir. There is pendular knee jerk and bilateral plantars are mute, sir.
Brisk means what it is? Within normal limits, or you think it is pathological?
Sir, I thought it was a little bit exaggerated, sir.
But anyway, we just keep it as a point, but we don't give much credence to that in this context. So
Yes,
unless there are other evidence of UMN paresis, like patient has spasticity, or there is a motor weakness, then or a gait is spastic, then this becomes informative. Otherwise, we just note it and keep it aside.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next. Because you said pendular knee jerk is there. What does it pendular knee jerk mean?
Sir, when the patient puts his legs down and we do a knee jerk, there are more than 3 oscillations, sir. Because there is no because of the cerebellar dysfunction, the agonist and the antagonist muscles are not working together synchronously. That is when you get a pendular knee jerk.
Okay, right. Next.
Sensory system examination, touch, pain,
Not
temperature, vibration, joint position sense are normal. Romberg's test could not be performed as the patient was swaying even with the eyes open.
right.
Coming to cerebellar system examination, there is dysdiadochokinesia present on rapid alternating movements, left side more than the right side. Finger nose test, past pointing is present, sir. Left side more than the right side. Knee heel test is impaired. There is nystagmus present, and tandem walking will be performed by the patient.
Okay, so
And
this is a bit worrying part of it, because usually toxic metabolic disorders of nervous system are always bilateral symmetrical. Very rarely they are asymmetrical. So this
Yes,
makes a little bit of a concern whether it is really phenytoin toxicity or something else. So that needs to be checked. Next.
the diagnosis, sir.
You should write neurodeficit. You should always write the which system is affected. You should write cerebellar ataxia. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
cerebellar ataxia, dysarthria, hypotonia, asymmetrical is a bit concern. So
Yes.
lesion is cerebellum or its tracts, very correct. Its tracts where? Brainstem.
Brainstem, yes.
So brainstem you should write. So the first diagnosis is always what you have rightly said, whether it is related to phenytoin.
Yes, sir.
Second is what? Metabolic. Metabolic means what?
Metabolic,
Metabolic.
there are certain hyponatremia, hypommonemia can cause ataxia, sir.
Okay, what happened next? So now how do you proceed? How do you investigate this patient?
Sir, because we are suspecting a cerebellar lesion, MR
Not
brain.
suspecting, you have confirmed the
Yes, sir.
patient has got what is called as acute cerebellar syndrome.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and acute cerebellar syndrome, there is no evidence that the brainstem is affected. So is it a cerebellum involvement? So with phenytoin being there, the first question is whether it is phenytoin induced or not. But
Yes,
the
sir.
second point is asymmetrical, whether it is any structural lesion like acute cerebellitis, viral cerebellitis, for example. Suppose the
Yes, sir.
patient had a fever a week ago and afebrile for 5-6 days, and now comes with cerebellar syndrome. It is a post-febrile cerebellitis. So that question you should have asked about the fever business, and they will
Yes, sir.
always say no fever. Then another relative will say, ಇಲ್ಲ sir, 2 ದಿವಸ ಫೀವರ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಹೌದೌದು, ಫೀವರ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಯ್ತು, ಅದು ಕ್ರೋಸಿನ್ ತಗೊಂಡೆ. See, this is
Yes,
how
sir.
the history starts. Okay, tell me, how do you investigate? What have you
MR
done?
brain, sir. The differential diagnosis I thought was vascular stroke, toxin mediated phenytoin, probably autoimmune multiple sclerosis, sir. Infections, meningitis, vestibular induced, and the last can be a functional or a psychogenic cause, sir.
Look here, so far you have done very well. Now, when you came here, you went back to theory. You are a clinician now. You have seen this patient. Why the hell you are talking about psychogenic? We are talking about this patient. You have seen he has got dysarthria, he has got ataxia, he has got nystagmus, and he requires help to walk. You still think psychogenic? Out of
No,
question.
sir.
And
No, sir.
vestibular, I told you, true
Yes, sir.
vertigo, vomiting, followed by ataxia. This is also out.
Yes,
There are no signs of meningeal irritation. Patient has a pure cerebellar syndrome. If the patient had
yes,
headache, vomiting, neck stiffness, and cerebellar, then it becomes meningitis. Isolated
yes,
cerebellar, it cannot be meningitis. So this is also out. And multiple sclerosis is not an autoimmune disease. It is a immune mediated, but it is not autoimmune.
yes, sir.
So this is correct. Stroke. This is correct. Phenytoin. The third is the multiple sclerosis. Why phenytoin? Because the story, and it is acute
Yes,
onset. So either it is a stroke, very nearby to the stroke is a MS. So all these
yes,
things are out of question.
yes,
Because
sir.
you are supposed to come to differential diagnosis of this patient, not theory. The whole idea of looking at the patient is to come to some meaningful diagnosis. Okay, what have we done next?
The
Okay,
basic
let us go
investigation.
to the specific ones. So these are all normal,
Yes,
right?
sir. The phenytoin also was normal, sir.
Right.
The phenytoin levels were the
Or brain.
MR brain is normal, sir. There are no cerebellar lesions, sir, or any lesions.
Okay, you can unmute yourself. Can you hear? ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವ? Okay, MR brain looks like normal or some mild hypodense area is here. Not sure. Next, please. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Please carry on. So phenytoin
Yes, sir.
is 60 level is 60 micrograms. What is the
Yes, sir.
normal?
Less than 20, sir. 10 to 20 microgram
Less
per
than
ml is
20.
the level, sir.
Okay. So between MR being normal and phenytoin being very high, so you have come
Yes,
to
sir.
a final diagnosis. The MR
So,
brain, the brainstem also was normal.
yes, sir. Brainstem also was normal, sir.
Okay, fine. Next,
That's all, sir.
that's all. Okay, I will just show you a few slides of mine. Can you
Yes,
go
sir.
off? So ataxia means lack of muscle coordination when a voluntary movement is attempted. Now, these are the different types of ataxia which you have said: cerebellar, sensory and vestibular. And the very important clinical point is, as long as the ataxia is to the lower limbs, only lower limb, cerebellar, sensory, vestibular possible. Lower plus upper limb, cerebellar and sensory. The moment speech is affected, there is only one ataxia, that is cerebellar. And whenever you see a cerebellar ataxia or any illness, look for treatable conditions. Alcohol, which you have missed in the history, which needs to be told. B12, of course, there. Viral cerebellitis. For example, this patient did not have history of phenytoin toxicity. MR brain plays and contrast is required because cerebellitis is inflammation. There may be a contrast enhancement. And multiple sclerosis, stroke, sometimes it may be a secondary. So if you find viral cerebellitis as a diagnosis, then you have to confirm it by a lumbar puncture and CSF. So in this case, phenytoin, because the history is there, stroke is not don't have a comorbidity. Viral cerebellitis is the third one. These are the three important diagnoses. B12 and all that will be considered down the list because they don't come that acute. MS, yes, of course, it can be acute. So we'll have to again do a plain and contrast to look for plaques in the brainstem. Anything else?